Um, Thanks for getting up in the morning, and welcome to Blazing a Social Trail with the Marketing Cloud Social API. And more importantly, welcome to Trailhead DX, the Salesforce Developer Conference. I'm your host for this talk. My name's Jeff Fitzgerald. Most people call me Fitz or El Fitzerino or his Fitzness, that kind of thing. Principal software engineer at Salesforce, working for the Marketing Cloud. And I work out of Eastern Canada. Social teams are located in 3 offices in Eastern Canada and New York. There's my Twitter handle. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. My email address if you have any questions after. Just our forward-looking statement. You guys are going to see this a lot today. The big takeaway here is I'm just a programmer. Please don't buy anything based on what I say. And before we start, if people have phones and are on Twitter, if you could just humor me and tweet either or both of these things. Especially important to include the RAR so that it'll help us find these posts during our demo. And I'll probably be the only guy asking you to play with your phone while I'm up here talking. So I'll give you like a couple seconds and then we can move on. So our agenda today, here to talk about what the social platform is, but more importantly, how you can get social data into the Salesforce platform. We'll go on from that. I'll do a little mobile demo so you can kind of get a visualization of what I'm talking about. Then we'll talk about some key API points. Everybody here, I think, has some kind of developer experience, so hopefully you're not bored by looking at JSON and things like that. And then we'll do a live API demo and hope that works out for us. So what is the social platform? We're basically like a unified social management platform for our customers. So instead of our customers having to go to Facebook to do some work, and then to Twitter to do some work, and then to Instagram, and then YouTube, we provide one single place for everybody to do that work. So you can, publish new content out to your customers. You can engage with them on the various networks. So if people are talking about you on Twitter, you can respond. You can then slice and dice the data coming back in, so you can start getting metrics about how your brand is performing online, maybe how your customer service agents are performing online. And the thing I'm really here to talk about is, again, how to get this data into Salesforce. So our main product that we have, Social Studio, was kind of a combination of 2 acquisitions from Salesforce, probably 5 or 6 years ago now. So we do have a desktop app, and we do have a mobile app, which we'll look at shortly. We have a pretty big integration with Service Cloud, where we do a lot of social customer service for them. And the big takeaway here is all 3 of these solutions are all built on top of our APIs that are available to developers. So I'll go over quickly like how our platform kind of works and how we get data in. So the first part is data collection. And literally, we do get all of the posts. So our customers register signals that they're interested in, various keywords, or the social pages that they manage. They give those to us, and then we go out using the third-party networks APIs. We get this data, we bring it in-house, and we save it for our customers so that they can do their analytics on and process it. Which takes us into data processing. So we have a bunch of small Einstein features that help us out with this. So we classify posts as spam or adult content when it's relevant. Just most customers don't want to see that data, so we flag it and filter it out for them. We do language and region classification. So we have a lot of customers that When they set up their service offices, they want people, maybe from one region or one language dealing with these kinds of posts, and then for another language and region, this office deals with it. We do sentiment classification, and we're starting to get into image classification through some acquisitions that Salesforce made a while back. So we've gotten all the data. We've kind of done some processing on it for you. And then the last step is, that we'll look at here in a bit, is how do we get the data into Salesforce? And usually we'll do one of two things. You can create cases from our social objects, or you can create leads. I'll mostly be talking about creating cases just because that's like our biggest use case. And let's do a little demo. Does anybody use social right now? Does anybody use Social Studio or know what it is? Got at least one guy out there. Everybody see that? Perfect. It's kind of just in a nutshell how our platform works. People give us a bunch of keywords. So I know, for example, that there's some hashtags we've been using for the conference. So we can look for Trailhead DX or hashtag TDX 17. We'll do our search. You can see here, this is basically a feed of all the posts coming in where someone's using either one of these hashtags. A lot of posts here. People can do analytics on the data. So you can see just in the last 7 days, there's been like 4,100 posts using these two hashtags. Because they're hashtags, vast majority of the data is coming from Twitter. We've got some Instagram data and Facebook. We also do like a word cloud. So this would be like the top 1,000 most relevant posts. These are kind of the big words people are using. So obviously the two hashtags that we were looking for are there. You see Einstein in here, equality and Ohana, like big Salesforce themes that are part of this conference. What else is on here of interest? Anything? Developers and fun, which again, the whole idea behind the conference. Sentiment, overall positive. What you'll find is the 10%, they're probably misclassified. Sentiment is not a solved problem. It's not an exact science. And as part of our sentiment engine, we actually let people customize their own sentiment model. So a customer could go in, take a look at these 10% of the posts. If any of them are misclassification, they can change the sentiment model, push that back in our platform, and we'll reclassify those posts as positive. Countries, so most of the people from the US, a lot of people from India. So the unknown is interesting. Based on the signals from the post, we either can't figure out where it came from, or a lot of networks have privacy settings. And if users have chosen those privacy settings, that data does not get sent out from their APIs. So we can't figure out where those people are from. Posts from the UK and Canada, which is where I'm from. So these are probably my test tweets that I sent out. Vast majority of the content seems to be English. There are a bunch of Chinese posts I was looking at last night. So again, if we go just back over to the Engage, we should be able to just customize our filter to see if anybody did tweet. We're just going to, in addition to those hashtags, we'll also look for that keyword RAR. See, so there's a couple of people, Nick and Ricardo. Thank you for helping out with the demo. So then from Salesforce, from the app, what we can do is we can then click on this post. And there are these things called macros, which help us kind of perform a bunch of automated tasks. So I've created 2 macros here, one for creating leads, one for creating cases. So, I can just, it's a very positive post, but I'll create a case anyway, because it's the best part of the demo. And then we can go to this post over here, macros from Ricardo, create a case. So what we should be able to do now is then flip over to Salesforce 1. Make sure we're in the right org. Look for any social posts that we've sent in. So here's one from Nick that came in, Blazing Social Trail at Trailhead DX. Here's another tweet that came in. Go take a look at the parent. And you can see that, we've created a case from this tweet. So yeah, that's the mobile demo. Again, the mobile app is built with the APIs that we'll get into right now. Slideshow back up and running. So our API. I was going to. Do you mind just? We'll get to you in a second, right at the end. I was going to call it a RESTful API, but in case there are people on fielding side, we are not totally a RESTful, so we are a REST-like. We don't have any hypermedia in our API, but other than that, it is all resource-based. The API is JSON, and we do have an older pre-acquisition API that is an XML that we're slowly trying to transition customers over. We do OAuth 2.0 for authentication. So, basically, you authenticate, we'll give you a bearer token that lives for about an hour, and then a refresh token so that you can get refresh your bearer token for, I think it's 30 or 90 days. And again, the message I keep trying to get through is the API we built the apps with is the same API that you guys have access to. So just a couple of the key building blocks I want to talk about for how we can get posts into Salesforce. So one is a topic. So you build a topic to define your search. Second objects are the social posts, which we are looking at in the feed. And those are also the same things that were counted for those aggregate displays. And then macros, which is the data that uses like our automation engine to push the data into Salesforce. So topics, you can see an API call up here to get one. So topics is the resource collection, and that ID is the topic I've created for this demo. So basically, everything in our world revolves around a topic. You create a topic to tell us the data to save for you, and you use that same topic to search with. And we've got 2 kinds. So customers give us keywords that they're interested in, or phrases. You just build a Boolean query, basically. Or what we call social properties. So these are managed pages that the brand owns. You can register those with us. We will download the posts from the networks on your behalf and let you respond to them, analyze them, that kind of thing. So the social post, you see an API call here to our post collection to get it, where I'm basically saying, give me all the posts from this topic, give me 10 of them, and make sure they have the keyword rar in it as well. And the post is a fairly big object, but of most interest to you guys is what we send into Salesforce, which is the social post and the social persona. So we'll send in the content, and I'll link to the case or the lead that's been created. And as well, we'll send in a bunch of author information. So here we have the social handle, the network it's from, the URL to the person's avatar. And then macros. So again, macros is a resource collection. The ID is a macro I created for the demo. And the execute just says, perform this macro on this list of posts I'm giving you. So we have all kinds of macros that you can create. It basically lets people figure out, they have a whole bunch of steps they want to do, and they're going to repeat those steps if a post matches given criteria. So this just lets them kind of do a bulk operation to make it happen. So if you look at this tweet from Beth, who I hope's not here, iPhone chargers piss me off. How is it possible that 4 are broken in the space of 6 weeks? Like a possible workflow could be, somebody would want to tag this post with iPhone, set it as a high priority, and then we want to push that data into Salesforce as a case. And now, API demo. This is where it gets really exciting. So really, I've kind of made a couple calls in advance just to give people a feel for the API. So if you were to create a macro for building cases in Salesforce, again, it's a post because we're creating an object. We're adding it to the macros resource collection. And then here's the model that you push in. So every case, or every macro has a name and a description. And then in this case, the action is a send to Salesforce. Now here's the org ID. So what I've done earlier, and we can take a look at it if there's time, but within Salesforce, you can create a link between the Salesforce org and the social platform. Just there's an option to search for like social customer service. And if you have a user in our platform and a user in your org, you can link those two together. And in this case, this one is, for creating a case. So you can send that into the API. We got a response back, a 201 saying object was created. Here's the ID of this macro we could use in a later call. How am I doing for time? Again, back to our topic, just a quick look at that. So keyword groups, another resource of ours. Here's the ID for it. Big takeaway here is, to create a new keyword group, you could send in your keywords like this. It's a contains, and I'm just looking for things with Trailhead DX or TDX 17. API call to get posts. So here's our post collection. I'm just saying, given the topic I've created earlier, find me 5 posts that have the keyword rar in it. So hopefully, is this one I sent? So anyway, here's our post objects, pretty big. The ID is what we're most concerned about. Here's the content that it sent. Some information about the author. Some more users. Let's just take off the rar to find a different post. Take this example here. Go over to our push. So this is our call to create a case in Salesforce. Again, it's on the macros collection. Here's our ID of the macro, and we want to execute it. So, and the two properties here are a list of posts to push into Salesforce, and a list of topics those posts are from. So I should be able to execute that macro. I can see here from the results, sent that post into Salesforce. It's currently pending. So we should be able to go into our Salesforce org. Ooh. They did not tell me they were going to do that as part of the demo. So you can switch over to Sales Cloud. Look at our cases that we pushed in. And here's this last tweet here. Phil Coleman. Sent into Salesforce. Again, we can go look at the social posts. So you can see here the tweet, social persona, the content. Go look at our social persona. A lot of Twitter followers, a lot of tweets. So, this is somebody you might want to pay attention to if you're in customer service. He's got a lot of followers. So if he's, tweeting something bad about your brand, you're going to want to act quickly. Links out to his profile on Twitter, so you can see more of what he's saying. And that's really it for the demo of pushing posts into Salesforce. Just go back in our slides here. I think I've got one more slides. So really, what's the next steps? So we've looked at, if you're a social customer, there's an API to use. You can get that data. We can create Salesforce objects out of it. We're all Salesforce developers here, which is the key takeaway. So these are objects right in Salesforce that whatever you can do as a developer in Salesforce, they're available to you. So next steps, if you are a customer of ours and you're interested in doing some development, go into Social Studio, create an API application. If you've got an org, turn on social. Or reach out to me on Twitter. And just for anyone interested in turning on an org, just go in very quickly, I think, to set up. And if you search for social, see here, social customer service. On Lightning. So I'll just log out of this page here so you can get a feel for the flow. So you would say that you want to log into Radiant 6, which was our company before we were acquired. Does a little OAuth dance. Log in. It should redirect us back into Salesforce. You can see here, I've linked these two accounts. So the org in the social platform is linked to the one in Salesforce, and you can now start pushing data back and forth. And that's it. Thanks for coming. And if anybody's got any questions or anything, fire up a hand. Come find me after. Yep. So I think there's another product. So I don't think it pushes it to data extensions, but it does things for building a campaign where you could target a list of Twitter users, push those into Marketing Cloud, and then build a campaign to target them in Twitter. But the details on that, unfortunately, I'm a little sketchy on. So. Somebody over here had a question earlier? No, all good? Yep. So I can't hear you at all. Okay, come talk to me after, for sure. Yep. So the API, as long as you are an existing customer, and there's different levels of what you can get. You don't have to buy the whole app. Some people just are doing listening and analysis. Other people are doing engagement. Some people may be just doing publishing. So I think you can buy those piecemeal or get the whole thing. But as long as you are as long as you have an admin or super user account, you can go right into Studio, create an API application, get your client key and your client secret, and then you're good. So there's no extra cost or charge for the API. As long as you're a customer, you can create one and start making API calls. Yep. To pull the data back out of Salesforce, that is a good question. So I think inside of, I didn't really show our application, but that engage thing I was showing where we push that post out. So in the desktop application, I think it does pull some kind of linkages between the data there and the actual object itself. So if you'll know if you've sent that post in and that kind of thing. So there's probably not much coming out as there is us pushing it in, but there's probably a little bit of data coming out like in the UI to show parts of the object. Sorry. Can we talk after? All I can hear is people talking. All right. Yes, a couple minutes left. If anybody's wants to hang out after and chat, great. Otherwise, go try to find a seat and listen to a good talk by Parker and Alex coming up.